All right, what's up, everybody? This is going to be the first video on the new strategy breakout 15-minute, 5-minute, 1 minute um, little thing we got going on now. So, just trying to get into it as simply as I possibly can because this strategy isn't hard at all, shouldn't be hard, and that's the whole reason why I came up with this, where it's a very simple explanation, very simple style of trading. Nothing about really analyzing too much. All you're really looking for is mostly at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. You got that New York momentum, the big push. So pretty much we're looking for breakouts with that big push. That's kind of when you see like very strong and clean breakout moves, which gives your trading a little bit more of an edge because you're going with wherever price is going, and just going right into it. This is pretty much a 9:20, literally 10 minutes before 9:30 opens up with all the volume. And all I'm really looking for is like any kind of trend lines or little support and resistance areas where price may be accumulating in. Mostly I mark up the wicks, from the wicks to the bodies, because to me the wicks are areas where price is rejecting, where price doesn't like to sit in. So the bodies are where price moves nicely, and then the wicks are where price kind of doesn't want to be in. So that's kind of the area that you're looking for as a support or resistance, because those are the levels that price is pushing off of. So right off the bat, I know it's very tight, but although price is up here, I marked up these wicks down here from the wick to the body just because this was the next previous low. Technically, if you mark it up, all right, this is your high, low, high. It's creating this low, and then price is now moving up here. The fact that you can see it kind of turn like an elbow almost, that's kind of your indication that, okay, that might be a support area where price is reacting off of some price that's in here. And that's why it's pushing up. So you're looking for an area to break either on the support side or the resistance side. So then I go here and I mark up my resistance area, which is just wick to the body, and I'll wait for 9:30 to either give me a break below this support area or a break above this resistance area. And I'll show you what the entry confirmation and retest that I'm looking for when I get down to the 1 minute. But first thing I want to go through is I usually start on the 15 minute, and I also see if there's any kind of trend line that I could possibly work with. At this point in time, price was just so bullish and it broke up so much to the upside that there was no trend line to really work with. And I kind of like to use whatever Asia to pre New York did. Asia being like about 6 p.m. the previous day, up to about like 8:30 when pre New York starts giving its moves. So I didn't really see anything. So I never really marked up a trend line, but your trend line is usually gonna look like something like this. Multiple taps. You got one tap, two taps, three taps here. Then price breaks, and then you could either mark up the areas where the wicks are, because sometimes price may not come all the way back to the trend line itself. But as you can see right here, just on the 15 minute, these wicks, price actually did come up here. Maybe you could have gotten a little a rejection candle. So this is the retest, and maybe there's a rejection on the 1 minute here that you could have entered to continue the sells. So that's why it's important to get the wicks. And obviously, I didn't take it all the way to the bodies, but if you took it all the way to the bodies, that's what it would look like. It's still the same thing. It's still getting into this wick area where price is rejecting, and you're looking for a confirmation that price wants to respect that area. So I'm gonna show you here what that retest and entry looks like. So no real trend line to work with here. So I'm really just marking up on the 5 minute areas of support and resistance, and then just in case if price doesn't give me a retest here, I will also mark up this area as well, just in case if price continues and we get a break under here. As long as we're getting a big push and a big break, we can look for a retest to get in here. So then I'll wait for 9:30 to open up, and I'll wait to see if price either breaks these lows to retest here, or we break these highs to retest here. So let's go ahead and take a look. See, after 9:30 right here, 9:30 was this big candle. So right here, I'm anticipating buys, but I'm waiting for a solid retest and a rejection candle, and I'll show you what it looks like. So this was a really good break, but I'm waiting for the retest, for price to come back into this area, tap it. Like, I actually really want the candle itself to tap it as a retest and then give me a rejection. So the fact that price broke through this like this, I would wait. I'd be patient. I would wait for a cleaner retest, because right now this area isn't exactly being rejected. So I want like a cleaner retest, and I'll show you what that retest looks like. And then we saw that price started shooting down, so we did not get a retest or a rejection candle, so we did not enter the buys here right away. And then we waited to see what price wanted to do. All right, beautiful. We had this break under these previous lows right here, and then we also had these lows right here. So in case, let's say, price had kept going and never really made it back up to this level, you could still potentially look for the sells off of this area down here. Just gives you a little bit more of a possibility. All right, so we saw price did that, and then price was just fiddling around, waiting for the retest, nice and patient, right? So the fact that I saw price do this, I stayed patiently waiting, right? Because it's still not rejecting. It's still breaking through this low, this support area. So I waited for a cleaner retest, and then that's when we got this, right? Price taps it, and then the next step would be to wait for the rejection candle. And this is my rejection candle right here. So we got the retest, price retested it and rejected off of it on the 1 minute. And then that is your entry right there. Boom. I normally run 100 ticks or 1,000, whatever it is on your trading platform. And I usually go for a 1 to 2, 1 to 3 if possible. Just depending on how the market's moving. If it's moving very well and there's really like a lot of void to fill in, so we have this giant void that price needs to fill in, that would be a good time to look for a bit of a bigger move. And if obviously price is coming in with a lot of volume, you can probably hold it a little longer. So let's watch it play out. All right, and then at this point, you could have waited for a re-entry if you missed the first one, if price does get back up here, such as this, right? Price retested, and you wait for a rejection candle. This is a possible second entry, although I'm not gonna lie, I wouldn't have personally taken it just because of how far it came down, but it actually still ends up working out even if you were to have taken this second entry. But technically that is the strategy. It retested and then it gave the rejection candle, and you'll see that price actually ends up going for a very big take profit. For this trade, I didn't enter the second one because I didn't really like it, just because of how far it rejected down, but it's still valid. It still meets the criteria. Ended up just closing the first trade at a 1 to 4, and I was fine with that. And that's just support and resistance, waiting at 9:30 for the big push with a retest, with a proper retest, right? You see price came, tapped it, retested it nicely, and then rejected off of it. Not this. This is not what you want. You don't want price breaking above it and then giving you a rejection candle. Be a little bit more patient. Wait for it to actually touch. You see, I never actually touched here. Just be patient. Wait for price to actually touch it nicely and give you a nice clean rejection candle. And that's literally the strategy. Just waiting with support and resistance. I have seen some trend lines that do end up playing out, but most of the times I've seen higher success, or just more commonly the supply and resistance. Like the support and resistance has been the biggest key. So I'll go ahead and show another example. It was the next day. I have it marked up here. This one had a trend line, so it's a bit of the same but a little different example, because it was literally almost the exact same entry as the day before. So let's see, we had 9:30 right here. Let me just go back a little bit so you can see here. We'll go back 10 minutes. So this was 9:20 a.m. So this is our previous low up here, or our previous high, sorry. This is our previous high, and then this is our next low, right? This was at 9:15. So once I saw 9:20, price was leaving this little low right here, 9:25, 9:30. This is when I marked up these lows right here. This is when I saw that there was a bit of an elbow, you could say, right? Price came up, it got down here. Now we have this little elbow. So I'll consider that a little low. So I was waiting for a price to either break to the upside and give me the retest and rejection, or to break these lows, same thing, and get in. So let's see what price does. Obviously you can see I got in for the sells there, but I also had a little trend line here, 1-2 touches. It was almost 3 touches, so I kind of liked it, right? We had this one candle, and then you can see there's clearly a little spacing here, almost a second candle. You could have just brought it in a little bit more and have it touch, so you would have 3 touch points. And then yeah, you can see it a little cleaner there on the 5-minute, right? You have 1, pretty much 2, and then 3. So it was a bit of a trend line with support and resistance added to it. So this was the 9:32 candle. This was the 9:30 candle initially, this giant one. So we're waiting for a clean break, right? Either above or below this area. And this one I actually took off of the second one, off the second break. So you can clearly see price was breaking here. It never really gave me a proper retest and rejection candle off of this area. I don't really see too many of these working out, so I don't suggest it. If price gives you the retest and the rejection candle at the same time, I would just wait for a second retest, just because I have seen that a couple of times. This may be a bit of an early move, and then it might just end up retracing anyway, and then you don't want to get stopped out, and it might just do the actual retest and rejection move and then give the move. But you don't want to get faked out on just the first candle. So I was actually waiting for price to give me that proper retest and rejection. Price did not come back for it, but we did break this trend line here, and we're breaking the low. But I did not like how price was fiddling around this area. Remember, you want a clean break with a retest. So price was still not exactly giving me what I wanted. Then boom, we had this clean break. Now I waited for the retest. All right, right there. We got this retest, right? It's leaving behind this this nice little wick. And then we had our rejection candle. And then you enter there. And then got my little 100 tick stop loss. Went for a 1 to 3 on this one. One to 3 and let it play out. We can delete this one. This one was just something I was looking to get into a second entry, but it didn't give it. It just went for the 1 to 3 and actually just kept going for the rest of the day. But that's pretty much the support and resistance. You could have probably even gotten in on the trend line retouch right here, this giant candle that taps this trend line, and then you get your rejection candle. So this would have been another possible entry if you didn't get in off of the support area, being the retest. So if it's like this, that price does wick above it, that's fine, as long as the body of the candle is not like inside of it. Like this was a clear retest and price closed underneath this support level. and then gave the rejection candle after. So I really liked it because it was coming in with a lot of volume at the time. But either or, like this, I would have waited for a better retest. And then the fact that this one just kind of hits the trend line, it could hit either or. It could hit either the trend line or the support itself. So just take it how it is. If it respects the trend line, then you take it off the trend line. And if it respects the support, you take it off the support. Could also be the resistance as well. So pretty much the buy is the same thing, but backwards. Just picture this, but price would just break above and then gives you the retest and the rejection. If you want a bit of an example on the buy, I can show you here. Just so you have an example. Let's say this day was very ugly. But let's say you had 930 was, this was the 930 candle. So the initial area that I had marked up was this area right here. And normally when you mark up these areas, you kind of want to keep them. You don't want to just start moving them everywhere. You want like your initial support zone to be your support zone. And I'll show you exactly why. So this was 925. We had this little elbow area, right? Price is moving away from it. So it's kind of a structure point. Clearly I was waiting for price to either break these highs up here or the lows, right? From the wick to the bodies. And then from down here, right? Because we don't have too much of a trend line either. There's really nothing to mark. It's just kind of bouncing up. I don't really like doing trend lines going this way. It's just not realistic. I mean, it could still do it. It could still respect it. I have seen some people have success with it. If I'm gonna trade this way, I would rather just do the support and resistance. It's a bit of a cleaner move to me, because then it would have to actually break all the way up here, and then you would hope that it would respect the trend line instead of going all the way down for the resistance or support line. But it's still very valid. You still could take it off the trend line if it does break it. I'm just more of a, like, if it was gonna break, I'd rather it be inversed, right? I'd rather it break something like this. Like if we had, let's just say these, right? We have one touch point right here, two touch points. If we had a third one, it'd be even cleaner. Maybe somewhere over here, it would look a lot cleaner. So let me show you why I had this area marked up and why I would have not erased it. Because once price starts showing its move, it starts going crazy. You can clearly see we hadn't really given a proper retest and rejection under any of these areas. When price broke under here, sorry, let me delete this one. So you don't get confused. This was the low, right? Price ended up breaking here, but didn't give a retest or rejection candle. So no trade there. And then you wait. I was actually looking for price to give me a retest off of this support area. And I'll show you how it's actually used inversely here. Here, price did break. This is a bit of a tough situation where it did break, but this is not enough of a retest. I actually did take a gamble trade that did not pay off, unfortunately. I took the little buy position because I just saw so much volume coming out. Maybe a little bit of FOMO, whatever. I probably should have waited for a cleaner retest. But you really want price to break out of it first. But let me show you the move that I was really eyeballing was this support area right here. You can clearly see that price was trying to break out of here. See, price ends up taking me out. Literally comes for this support area where I wanted price to break under. This is a bit of a just experience move, I guess you could say. But this low area was just being respected a lot. So I kind of figured price might want to respect that. So you can see it rejected here once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5, 6, 7, so many times, 8, 9, 10. So many times it was rejecting this area that when I saw price break out of here, I did like the buys, but I was waiting for price to respect an area of support or resistance. Technically, this line here was resistance that price broke. And now we're kind of looking for support, right? Because we're going with the move. We're not going against it. So it's still very much bullish here. So when it tapped here, I really would have liked this right here. but this would have been the buy right here. And honestly, this is not even super clean. I would rather price be breaking these areas up here. Maybe I could show you a better example on a buy here, right here. Let's say price ends up breaking here. See, that's not really the retest I would want. You want like a really clean break. Let me see if it was this one or another one. But pretty much you want price to break above, give a big push, retest, and then you get in at the rejection candle. But you want it more around the 9:30 a.m. push. Honestly, I wouldn't really trade more past 10:30, 11. 11 being the latest, but really like between the 9:30 to 10:30 is kind of when you want your position to take place. Anything after that is kind of a gamble, but I'm not saying it wouldn't play out, but it's just very not likely. Then you can see price actually ended up giving the same move again from this one here that it retested. It actually came down here and ended up giving the same move from here again. So these areas of support and resistance are fairly well respected. You should definitely just keep the ones you initially mark up in the morning because they may be used later on. Just like how we had this one marked up, we had this one marked up, and then also these up here. Kind of all areas price could have broken, and you can see that multiple times it actually was respected on several occasions. It was being respected all day here, and then this one you can see price once it broke it ended up respecting it here. This one, the top one, the one we were originally looking at, although price broke out of it and then broke under it again. Once it broke out again, then it respected it afterward. But you definitely don't want to be bringing up new boxes all the time. Just use your old ones, and then if later in the day price has a bit more info, more candles that you can work with, then you can kind of put something on the chart. So let's say it's later on, it's already 1:30. You've seen price giving a bunch of moves, and let's just say you see this previous low right here. Okay. You wait for a clean break. If price gives you like a really clean break with a lot of volume, then you could take a position there. And this is the same day. But you want more information on the chart. You want more candlesticks. So you can see definitely price broke out of that with a lot of volume. That's kind of the volume you want to see when taking a trade, especially a breakout trade. And literally this break and retest here, honestly, I personally would have waited for a little bit of a cleaner retest, because I prefer when the candles do touch, there's a bit more of a wick like down here, and then the rejection candle, because if price is closing inside of it, then it's not exactly the wick rejections that we want. But literally that area would have played out. Let me see, and literally it's just marking up wicks to the candles and to the bodies, excuse me, and then you take the trades there. Technically, you just keep following price as long as it's respecting the areas. You can also do boxes on the 1 minute as well. There's nothing wrong with that. They could still work out. I just find more success with higher time frame structure points, like the 5 minute. Obviously, the 15 minute, look at these wick to body ratios are too crazy. So the 5 minutes are a lot cleaner. If they do break, you could get in there. That's pretty much the strategy. This is a really ugly day. Like I personally do not like to trade it like this. But when you have days that are clean and simple like this, that you have clear support areas, and you can see it wasn't just the first area that we broke. We probably could have got an initial entry here, but we still got an entry down here, which is fine. We're going with the move of the day, so we're waiting for price to give that big entry. You can see price ended up giving us an entry around 10 o'clock, so 30 minutes in. So that's it. That's pretty much the strategy. Just marking up the previous low, getting the highs, and then maybe even the next lower high, just in case if price continues and breaks the next zone. You don't get FOMO thinking like, oh, I missed this first move. You still have these moves down here, and you're just following the trend. That's it. Very, very simple, straightforward. Literally here, we got it off the first box. Here, you could have got it off the second box as well. And that's the beauty of this strategy. You could literally add positions while you're already in one. You can especially see that with GJ very well. GJ has very clean 5 minutes that it likes to come back and retest. So just get a clean break after the 9:30 and then wait for a clean retest and a rejection candle. Rejection candle just means I guess the direction of which your trade is going. So if you're looking for a bearish move, your rejection candle is just a bearish candle. It doesn't have to be an engulfing. This bullish candle could have been bigger, and this little bearish candle could have been smaller than this previous candle. But all you need is a confirmation that price is rejecting. So once you get this 1 minute rejection candle, that's it, you enter. Like let's say this one retested the trend line, and then this rejection candle, this bearish candle, is not even half the size of this one, but it's rejecting. So that's your rejection candle. That's why I'm not saying engulfing or anything like that. It could be this tiny little baby doji, as long as you get a bearish candle on the bearish moves, and then if it's breaking above, you get a bullish candle, and that would be your rejection candle. Be very careful trading this strategy with gold. Very, very volatile, coming from experience already. For New York session, I strongly recommend SPX or S&P 500, whatever you want to call it. Very clean. I've done NASDAQ with it, a little bit more volatile, and US 30 is nearly impossible. It just moves way too much. So this strategy is specifically for S&P 500, maybe even GBP JPY during Asia session, because it's very clean. The moves that it gives during Asia are very nice, and they flow very well. 8 p.m. Eastern time is a very good time to trade it. I usually sit down around 7:45ish p.m. Eastern time, and I start looking at it already. You can kind of draw up trend lines or anything like that, but definitely it's very clean for Asia. New York, it's a little more volatile. This day I got in because how clean it was. You can clearly see we're breaking under these lows right here. I know, I'm sorry, I've only done sell examples, but that's really all I've gotten a lot of. You can see price was breaking under these lows. Price came, and although it did give that retest, right? It gave that retest rejection candle. If I would have taken it from here, I probably would have got topped out. Like this is 920, 0.20, yeah, literally 0.20 with 10 pips would have got me out. I do run 12 pips just because of spread, but just because I waited for a proper retest, right? This was the retest. It tapped it. There's no wick, but it tapped it. And then this next candle was a rejection candle. Even though it wicked into it a little bit, the fact that it closed under, that was enough confirmation for me, and I got in on that bearish candle and went for a 1 to 3. This day actually went for like a 1 to 8, but it was a very clean day. I guess next video I'll try and do some buy opportunities that may have been presented. And yeah, that's the support and resistance breakout strategy. 15 minute, 5 minute, and 1 minute is all you need. 1 minute is for your entries. 5 minute and 15 minute is for your support and resistance lines. And remember, from bottom of the wick to the bodies, or at least one of the bodies. As long as you have multiple wicks, you can see that this area had multiple wicks, and this was at 9:30. This was actually a box that I drew up after 9:30, just because it was the previous low, right? Because once this was the first low I was looking at, but once price came up here, I decided to move my support area from this one to this one, because this would be the first low that price would take out, and then price took out those lows, retested that low, and then ended up giving the move. So wick to body, you can see you had one wick here, 2, 3 wicks, 4 wicks. So price was rejecting this area for a little minute already. And yeah, that's it. See you guys on the next one.